Hello everyone and welcome back to IELTS Monkey. My name is Teacher Patrick and today we are going to take a look at the second band descriptor for the IELTS Writing Task 2, Coherence and Cohesion. But this is going to be a two-part video. We're actually going to break it down into both coherence for one video today and for cohesion in another video to come. So please stay tuned for that second video to complete the series. Now, if you haven't already, go back and take a look at my task achievement video. It does a really great job of taking away some of the mystery and helping clear up exactly what you need to do in order to get a higher score on the task achievement band descriptor. Again, if you have any questions about that, please leave a comment. I'll be happy to answer. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with our video on coherence today and understand exactly what you need to do on the IELTS exam. So, coherence and cohesion. This, of course, is going to be part one. Now, today we are going to talk about exactly what coherence is. Then we'll understand the different elements. There's several of them, and we'll talk a little bit about how to improve. Today will be a little bit of a shorter video. Now, we're not going to get into all the differences between the band descriptors like we did with task achievement, because this is it's going to be a little bit different in how you understand it. But in general, and we'll talk about this, band score 4s and 5s, difficult to understand. 6+, a lot easier to understand. And as the band descriptor goes up, the level with which we can understand becomes easier, or that your examiner can understand. So, what is coherence? Basically, you need to ask yourself this one simple question. Is your essay well organized, and is it easily understood by the reader? In a nutshell, great idiom by the way, in a nutshell, this is coherence. So let's start off with grammar. Now you might be thinking, teacher, grammar, isn't that related to your grammatical range and accuracy? Well, yeah, but you've got to understand that a lot of these things go together. If your grammar has too many mistakes, or you're using the simple past when you should be using the present simple, or you just don't have grammatical control of your sentences, it's going to be really difficult for your examiner to understand what you're trying to say. So yeah, not only is this going to affect your grammar score, at least the accuracy part of it, but it's also going to affect your coherency score. So making sure that you have time at the end of your essay to go back and to proofread and to make sure that you don't have too many grammatical mistakes, or at least you don't have the grammatical mistakes that will affect your examiner's ability to understand. Next, let's talk about vocabulary. This is not a vocabulary test, but I see time and time again so many students turning this into a test of their ability to impress the examiner, right? Instead of using the most common, the most normal, the best words for the situation that convey precise meaning, convey precise emotion, what do people try to do? They try to find the craziest, most advanced, longest, hard to use, rarely used synonym for their words. So not only does this affect your vocabulary score because it's about your awareness of style and usage and what's appropriate, but again, this can affect your ability to be coherent. If your examiner sees these big words but you don't know how to use them, and you're not necessarily using them correct, it is going to affect the ability of your examiner to understand. Therefore, your coherence score will suffer. So, always use what you know. Always make sure that the words you are using are appropriate. Don't try to impress the examiner. They read thousands of these essays. They're never impressed, and this is their job. Progression. Okay, so we have, in my opinion, two types of progression here. We have progression of the entire essay, in which case we need to have paragraphing, which we'll talk about in a second. But we also have progression within your paragraph, or at least on the sentence level. Basically, we want each new sentence to tell us something new, and we want this to be ordered logically. If your sentences are not ordered logically, it's not going to be very coherent. What do I mean by logical ordering? Take a look at the last bullet point here where we talk about main idea plus explanation plus example plus result. This is a classic example of a way to logically order the sentences in your paragraph. You tell me what the paragraph is going to be about. You then explain it and tell me about its importance. You provide some sort of example that further supports your arguments and helps to paint a picture in the examiner's head. And then maybe you provide some sort of result, rounding it all off, concluding it all together into this nice little coherent package. But if you have your main idea in the beginning, and then you have your resulting sentence coming next, and then you have an example, and then you explain at the very end, well, it's not going to be very coherent, right? Your examiner is not going to know what you're talking about because you're jumping all around. And this kind of goes for your paragraphs as well. Make sure it makes sense in a logical way, the way you order your paragraphs. Also, always tell us something new. If you don't progress or advance your argument and you just kind of start repeating yourself, you take your topic sentence and then you repeat it again and you kind of say the same thing in the third sentence, there's no progression there. It's not going to be coherent. Your examiner is not going to understand your argument. Having one main idea. We talked about this in task achievement. Weaker students have more than one main idea in their body paragraphs because someone somewhere told them that if they have all these ideas, they're going to get a higher score. If you have too many main ideas, you run the risk of getting a 6 in task achievement because you simply can't develop your ideas, and you run the risk of getting a 6 in coherence and cohesion, especially with coherence, because if you're not able to develop it, it might not be logical why you're telling us in the first place, therefore reducing your coherence and cohesion score. So one main idea is always going to help. Make sure that you have the best chance of both task achievement and coherence, at least the coherence part of coherence and cohesion. Finally, paragraphing. We need an introduction. We need body paragraphs. We need a conclusion. I always tell students, write their opinion, write their main idea, write what they're exactly going to talk about in their thesis statement in your introduction, and then literally just follow the order in your body paragraphs. If you agree that students have too much homework these days because A, there's too much pressure from society, and B, it's causing them mental health problems, then your first body paragraph should talk about A, how there's too much pressure in society, and B, your second body paragraph, talks about how it creates mental health problems for these kids in our society. Simple as that. Introduction, 2 to 3 body paragraphs, and a conclusion that wraps everything up helps ensure you get that aspect of coherence at the paragraph level. So, to review, grammar, make sure it's correct. If we can't understand the grammar, your examiner can't understand what you're trying to say. Vocabulary, use the most common words that are going to convey precise meaning. If it's an academic word, fine. If it's not an academic word, fine. It's all about being appropriate. Progression, paragraphing, and the progression and logical sequencing of your ideas within your paragraph. One main idea is going to help you out with this as well, and we've already talked about paragraphing in the previous slide. So, a band score 5. As I told you earlier, parts of the essay are not very easy to understand. There's probably too many ideas, not very logically organized, and there could be a sufficient amount of grammatical errors or vocabulary problems that are preventing the examiner from understanding your argument. Band score 6 plus. Band score 6, 7, 8, 9. The answers are all easy to read and understand, and as we go up in the band scores, 7, 8, and 9, the level of easiness is going to be better and better and better. Again, because this is just one part of a band descriptor, we're not going to go into all the specifics. It's a little bit too narrow of an idea right now, but we'll do more of that when we talk about coherence and cohesion, the cohesion part. So, how to improve. First of all, just understand what types of topics you might get in writing task 2. You can start reading or thinking about your life, your country, your experience, your society in terms of these various topics here. Remember, if you can simply talk about, if you have some experience of education in your country, you can answer any question about education. this is going to kind of feed into my next point, but a lot of students really worry that they won't be able to come up with any ideas. But honestly, plan, read, listen, and talk. One piece of advice I give a lot of my students is if they get a writing task 2 question, think of each body paragraph as a part 3 speaking answer where you have to be concise. You literally only have 30 seconds to give 5, maybe 4 to 6 proper sentences of giving your answer, topic sentence, of explaining yourself, of providing some sort of example from your world, and then maybe some sort of result. It's basically the exact same thing. But many students, they can do that, but once they have all this time and this space to write on their paper, they get really confused and they don't know how to do it. So try answering your essay question or the paragraph for your essay question as if it were a part 3 question. And if you actually say the words, chances are your grammar is going to be better, your vocab could be better. You kind of want to write like you speak. Think of all the authors that you like to read. You like to read them because they write in a simple way and they write like people would normally speak. This is important. It's just that when we start writing these essays, we try to be so beautiful and flowery and use all of this amazing vocabulary, and it actually hurts our score in the long run. Okay? So by practicing this way, you can be concise, logical, avoid repetition. Practice saying your answer into a recording device and then actually writing that down and seeing how it looks on paper. Read and shadow write lots of different task 2 responses at a band score of 7 or higher. You should read essays every day, and even more. Take these essays, take a piece of paper, take a pencil, and literally copy the essay out by hand. You don't have to do anything more than that to complete this type of practice. This is going to start building a mind-body connection between you and the writing, and just kind of you're going to get a lot of experience and practice logically sequencing ideas. Copy out an essay a day. A lot of great copywriters, people who write advertisements, do this as part of their practice. They take a look at famous, very successful advertisements, written advertisements for like Coca-Cola or Vina Milk or whatever you want to call it, and they practice writing them out because it's good. It's a good process, and it helps kind of organize and build that mind-body connection. Finally, read the news and pay attention to what's going on in the world. If you can give really nice examples related to things you know, it's going to be so much easier for you to build a coherent argument with a logical set of sentences, explanations, examples, etc. So give this a try, and it's really going to help you out. So today, I hope it was helpful for you. I hope this helps you understand a little bit more about how coherence works in the Coherence and Cohesion band descriptor. If you have any questions, please let me know. And as always, you can share, comment, like, subscribe, and of course, please come back for Coherence and Cohesion Part 2, where we just talk about cohesion. Thank you so much. I hope everyone has a great and amazing day. See you next time. Bye-bye.